This is Gospel Music Today. We're at the National Quartet Convention, and it's a great pleasure to be talking to Tommy Mosely. And Tommy, welcome to Gospel Music Today.
Thank you very much, Ken. It's great to be here.
Now, we want to know a little bit about how you got involved in gospel music, but I know we've got a very important thing to talk about. You had a life-changing event at the age of 13 that's influenced your ministry and your life. So tell me about that.
Well, I was 15. I was jumping on a trampoline in my backyard back in 1984, and I'd had the trampoline probably 3.5 years, and I was able to do front flips and back flips and at a half twist now and then. And I don't know. Back in '84, I witnessed Greg Louganis in the Olympics, and I thought, this guy is just amazing. And I tried to, emulate him the best I could on the trampoline. And I was on a swim team down in Pascagoula, Mississippi, where I grew up. And some of the guys on the swim team and myself just thought, how neat would it be if we started our own little diving team? And just this one day, it was a Thursday afternoon, the day before my first year in high school. I was jumping on the trampoline and attempted to do a backflip and almost went all the way off the trampoline. I over-rotated and landed right on the edge of it, and it really gave me a fright. And I thought, well, let's just go ahead and go inside and get ready for school the next day. And then I said, I'm going to get this right before I go inside. I tried to be a perfectionist on the trampoline. I wanted to land in the same general area that I took off from, and I was concentrating so much on not over-rotating that I didn't rotate enough, and instead of doing a back flip, I did a back dive head first into the center of the trampoline and broke my neck.
Now, as you travel in your ministry, that story becomes an important part of your testimony.
It does. I want everybody to know about, obviously what happened to me. That's going to be the main question in their mind is, how did he get into the situation that he's in? And I share that, but I want them to also know that even though that I may be paralyzed or, have a life-changing event, we all have problems that we face. It doesn't matter what it is. If, I don't know, whatever difficulties you may go through. You don't have to lay down. You don't have to just sit there and wallow in pity or anything like that. The Lord has called us all to be ministers, and if He's given you a gift, whether it's teaching or singing or whatever, why not do it to the best of your ability and just give it your all? And so, when I first got hurt, I was only operating on about 35% of my lung capacity. And when I surrendered to the ministry about 8 years ago, I was still having kind of trouble getting enough wind to do what I wanted to do with my singing, but I don't know, little by little, it just seems like it's come on, and whenever I need to hit a note or hold it out there a little bit longer, the Lord just seems to say, okay, here you go. So, but I guess, just totally being in surrender to His will. And I don't know, He just seems to bless me with the air that I need when I need it. So, I just try to do it however He gives it to me. So.
It's great that it works that way. How did you become involved in gospel singing?
Well, I've been around gospel music my whole life. I was raised in the church. My dad was a worship leader at our church, and I kind of I strayed away from the Lord as a teenager, and it wasn't until I was 21 years old before I got saved, and I sang a few specials at church, but never really, thought about doing anything with it. But when we would have a sing at our church or something, a benefit or something would come up, people would ask me if I would sing a song, and so I did. And my cousin and her husband, they are in with the Mississippi Quartet Convention Association. In fact, her husband is the president down there in Mississippi. And he heard me sing, and he was like, Tommy, have you ever made a CD? I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, you need to make one. And so he helped me out, and we got a bunch of songs together and did kind of a compilation of a bunch of songs that I'd been singing already, and we recorded that. And they started, allowing me to come in with some of their concerts and getting a little bit of exposure like that. But some friends of mine brought to my attention the Emerald Coast Southern Gospel Music Association in Panama City, Florida. And every year they have a thing called Jubilee Weekend, and they have a talent competition that goes on there. And I entered the talent competition, and by the grace of God, I won that. And so that's really just how I got started, really, just in a nutshell. But just being willing to go and doing whatever was there, you know.
Now, since that beginning, you've been in the Singing News Top 80 with what song was that?
Stephen's song, it charted a couple of years ago. I think it reached number 74, but I mean it's a start. It broke the ceiling, so we were able to get in there, and it's a beautiful song. It has a great message to it, and it obviously talks about Stephen's martyrdom and everything, but it also talks about how the song came about was Calvin Gann and Mike Gilley of the Gann brothers were in a revival one night, and the pastor was preaching on the martyrdom of Stephen. And the pastor brought out the fact that whenever we read about when we read about Jesus after he's ascended into heaven, is that Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father, except for one place. That is when Stephen is standing before the Sanhedrin, and he's really making this bold stand and telling them, the gospel, the good news. And Stephen looks up into the heavens and he says, "Behold, I see the Son of Man standing at the right hand of the Father." And the pastor said, I can just see Jesus sitting there, and he sees what Stephen is about to go through, and he stands up and he looks to the Father and he says, "Father, can we open up the veil of time and space and let me look over, let Stephen look up here, let him see my face, because right now he thinks he's all alone. But I know what he's going through." And so that's the gist of the song. It's about how Jesus is cheering Stephen on, but at the same time, he's still standing there and cheering us on when we're going through a trial and tribulation. And it's just a beautiful song. Beautiful song.
Yeah, those are the things that can change people's lives. Now, you have a new CD.
I do. It's if I can get it here, it's entitled "What a Difference." I don't know if I can turn it around. I can let you handle that. And it's got, we've released a few songs off of that, and one that was entitled "Whenever, Wherever, Whatever." The last single we released was "What Satan Wants Me to Forget." Both of those songs charted in a Christian voice, and our new single, "Hope for the Day," was a Gerald Craft song, and it's starting to get some pretty good airplay around the country, and just looking for great things to come from that song. It's got a beautiful message to it also.
What's the Tommy Mosely website?
www.tommymosely.com. That's TOMMYMOSELEY.
Easy to remember. Tommy, thank you very much for talking to us on Gospel Music Today.
I really appreciate the opportunity, and God bless you.
Now back to more Gospel Music Today.